Now, it is true that Russia does have huge reserves of oil and natural gas, but like any country anywhere, it's not energy independent. That's why this exhibition has been set up in the Polytechnical Museum in central Moscow to reinforce the idea that alternative energy sources must be developed and to inspire the future generation to get on with the task. Because if that doesn't happen, we soon may have to rely on pedal power for our energy needs. And without me, the good news for the deodorant industry, it's not a very comfortable way to live.
The exhibit opened its doors to the public in late March, and it's sponsored by energy giant BP. It features interactive displays aimed at making kids and their parents more aware of where the energy that drives modern life really comes from, and that it's getting scarcer with each passing day.
Our company's in the business of producing energy, so we need to be efficient in our use of energy, to be able to produce more, to be able to sell to others. But in the same way, there's more for everyone if everyone is conscientious in how they use it and understand how to use it well wisely.
Many experts say that developing sources of alternative energy, from paddles to pulleys to solar panels, is vital. These help to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. That's an essential part of tackling climate change. However, fossil fuels and nuclear plants are here to stay, at least for the time being. So exploiting and improving traditional sources of power is still necessary, especially when it comes to navigating the enormous distances that span Russia. And if you've got a ticket to the North Pole, you'll need a nuclear reactor or two to keep you warm along the way. Meet 50 Years of Victory, the world's biggest atomic icebreaker.
This icebreaker has been modified. A lot of its equipment and mechanisms have been replaced. As you know, it took more than 17 years to build it, and the life service of many of those units has expired. So we had to replace and modify them. That's why this craft is the most reliable and contemporary out of all the existing icebreakers.
Lying at the heart of this 160-meter-long behemoth are two nuclear reactors capable of churning out 75,000 horsepower of energy. Construction began in 1989, but was halted by the Soviet collapse. But private investors saved the project, and the ship was launched in St. Petersburg in March. The nuclear facilities on board are guarded by a special anti-terror system. They're contained in a sealed zone that, say the owners, can withstand a meltdown.
This ship is equipped with a lift, a restaurant, a swimming pool, and 2 saunas that are kept toasty warm at all times by a nuclear reactor. So it's definitely the most civilized way to go from St. Petersburg directly to the North Pole. And even if the idea of staying cooped up on a boat for several days doesn't exactly cut the ice, it's still a lot better than making the trip with a pair of snowshoes.
50 Years of Victory has already set off for its maiden voyage to the city of Murmansk, which lies above the Arctic Circle. If you're interested in tagging along, fret not. The ship will make regular trips from St. Petersburg to Arctic Russia to supply northern villages with food and fuel. Its steel hull can slash through ice up to 5 meters thick. And if something a bit more adventurous is more to your taste, you can sign up to the waiting list for its upcoming trip to the top of the world.
If you've just joined us, we've been traveling the length and breadth of the country to find out how Russians use technology to bridge the enormous distances that separate them.
We're going to visit a small city close to Moscow, where cutting-edge research has created a strange new kind of matter. This achievement wouldn't have been possible if not for the work of a 19th century scientist who struggled to find stability while cast adrift in Russia's enormity. But first, This is the Joint Institute of Nuclear Research in Dubna. Here, scientists use these particle accelerators to create new atoms. Last October, they announced the creation of element 118, the biggest atom in the known universe. It lies at the very end of the periodic table of the elements, the family tree of the basic units of matter that make up the physical world. Because its nucleus is so big, the tiny amounts of element 118 that were made lasted only 1,000th of a second before being ripped apart by enormous nuclear forces.
Six new chemical elements of Mendeleev's table were discovered during the past century alone. The last one was the discovery of the 118th element. It's especially important that our physicists, together with scientists of other countries, were able to discover the so-called Stability Island.
But why make something that disappears before you get a chance to even see it? Many scientists say that in the uncharted waters of physics, beyond element 118, there exists a whole family of new, super-heavy nuclei that will happily stay in one piece forever. This is the sought-after island of stability. If elements in this region are made, they could totally revolutionize how we build things out of matter. But reaching this island is no easy voyage. To make element 118, scientists at Dubna had to smash together atomic nuclei 10 billion times, and going further will be much harder.
What means the periodic table? Yes, what's the periodic law? What is the end of the periodic table? What the end of the stability of nuclei? In order to understand the theory of nuclei, in order to understand where is the elements finished, yes, you need to test theory by experimental research. The last element, which was synthesized 1 year ago, jointly with our colleague from Livermore, that was element 118. This is the heaviest element of the periodic table. It's the first experimental evidence of existence of the island of stability.